go boom, 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 boom. My heart beats boom, 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 boom. Heart speed goes zoom, 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 zoom. My feet go boom, 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 boom. Hold on, I'm going, 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 going. There's a big storm. It's coming, 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 coming. Hold on, I'm going, 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 going. There's a big storm. Coming, 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 coming. Coming, 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 coming. Coming, 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 coming. Boom, boom, boom. My feet go boom, 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 boom. My heart beats boom, 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 boom. Heart speed goes zoom, 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 zoom. My feet,
Please welcome President of Cisco EMEAR,
my feet go
Wendy Mars.
boom, 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 boom. My heart beats boom, 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 boom. Heart speed goes zoom, zoom, zoom.
Hello and welcome to Cisco Live in Barcelona. You have come from all across Europe, Middle East, Africa, Russia, and beyond to be here with us. And we're all here because we believe in technology. We are excited about technology. We believe that it provides answers to many of the challenges that we face on a daily basis. But also, we believe that it creates opportunities for us for challenges that we didn't even know existed years ago. We all have a musculoskeletal reflex, but in addition to that, we have a digital reflex. And did you know that actually 61% of us admit that the first thing we wake up in the morning, we actually go straight to our digital device before we even talk to anybody? And actually, I, like many of you, will use multiple digital devices first thing in the morning, be that engaging before I go for breakfast, engaging with Alexa, engaging with a robot to do the housework. Now, as we're so reliant on those digital services, when they don't work, 44% of us admit that we actually use bad language, and I mean out loud. So we're actually dependent, we're hooked, and we love it. We are, as consumers, we can have what we want. We can have whatever we choose, and we are able to make very well-informed choices. And of course, we expect things instantly. We require from our suppliers not only the products and the services capability that we know that we're interested in, but also we look at integrity and values associated with those organizations as well. We are in a wonderful place as consumers. The internet truly has built our expectations sky high. And if we look through that telescope, we see a wonderful world full of possibilities. We're like a child in a sweet shop. Whatever we want, we can have whatever we want, and we want it now. But actually, the expectations of the internet of the future have built more than ever before. Now, actually, if you look through the other end of the telescope, we find ourselves in a very different place. That's where actually it's back to us, all of us here in this room. We have to deliver on those digital services. We have to deliver them in a unique and a personalized way with the highest standards of integrity and trust that our customers expect. So actually, life at this end of the telescope, put bluntly, is a little bit harder. Actually, sometimes it's a lot harder. But actually, there's going to be days when you find that you feel everything is out of control. Problems for us will be opportunities, or feel like they are, for our competition and for startups that are out there. But we have whole industries are being reshaped, and they're reshaping as the way that we shop changes. The way that we date changes. The way that we exercise changes. And also the way that we relax changes. New technology is being introduced that, of course, may help to solve some of these challenges. New technology in the form of robotics, of security, of AI, and also 5G. But actually, what's most important that all of this new innovation and new technology provides value to your business. Because at the end of the day, it is all about the use case that is relevant for you. So whilst you may feel that sometimes you're in the center of that vortex, surrounded by stormy weather swirling around you, and you're actually at the risk that digital disruption will hit your business and hit your industry, and it may hit it really hard. But you know, we are all in this together. Those disruptors for us at Cisco came in the form of cloud, of SaaS delivery models. You may have that same experience in your business or others. Actually, they're more specific to the environment in which you operate in. But we all will travel through this together. And actually, if I look at this and think about digital transformation overall, whilst this can feel overwhelming, there are 3 main things that are so important to work on. It's actually the business model. So with that, as our business models evolve, which of course they do with this transformation agenda, thinking about how we innovate constantly in our portfolio, innovating in our portfolio to stay attractive to our customers. Also making sure that we deliver a phenomenal customer experience at all times. It's about the business operations, making sure that we think about our processes, our tools, and our systems, and how we run our businesses efficiently. But also, maybe most importantly, it's about our people and the culture that we operate with. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that, the transformation will not happen, never mind operate smoothly. And of course, as you look at these things, every change that you make in one of these 3 areas from a business requirement creates a technology change requirement. And that technology change requirement may be a new connection, it may be new requirements from an analytics perspective, or it may be a new process. And of course, as I think about this, for me it feels like a wheel. As you look at this graphic, it feels like a wheel. It's important to keep it balanced. And any change, even if it's a slight change at the center, can result in a really significant change at the edge. So you have to manage through it in the right way. And as you think about that wheel, if you move too slowly, it will fall over. If you move too fast, you will lose control of the direction in which you're going. And if you get it wrong, the wheel will buckle and it will break, and then you end up going nowhere. But if you get that right, you will have a fabulous force multiplier. You will be in control of your direction. You will have the velocity that you need, and you will get to the destination of your dreams. But you know, it's tough, it's exciting, but it takes time. But in addition, for us, within this region, this is an exciting region for all of us to be in. It's very diverse with all of the different countries that we operate within. But within that diversity, we have strong and unifying forces that hold us together. We lead the conversation in the world in many different topics as well. And one of the key elements that we talk about is trust and privacy. It's important for all of us. You push us quite rightly on transparency, on trust, on privacy and security. And you do that because they are key conversations that you are having with your customers. And quite rightly, you should push us on that. And did you know it's actually Data Privacy Day today? Europe has led the conversation within GDPR. And actually, it's important for us now within the Middle East and Africa regions as well. Data and data sharing are very important and foundational for us from this digital transformation journey. In Europe, the conversation is about data sharing. Actually, in the Middle East and Africa, it'll be about the data movement. So governments, engagements, and conversations are getting more involved there, thinking about regulation and how do we manage through some of those different steps as well. And what does this mean? It impacts how we share stuff. And it's that, of course, is critically important for us. But in addition as well, it is really important our customers care about our sense of purpose, our values and our purpose as organizations. The European Parliament and Commission is looking at how do we use technology not only to drive economic value, but also societal value. And of course, as we manage through this transformation, thinking about how we do this in an inclusive way, an ethical way, and also looking at the sustainable elements and meeting our sustainability targets. Thinking about skills and thinking about diversity elements as well. The European Commission under Ursula von der Leyen has recently introduced, with her Green Deal, the promise to try and get Europe, from a continent standpoint, to be carbon neutral by 2050. And also here within Spain, within the new government, one of the top 3 priorities is actually on climate change. So as we think about this week ahead, we are in a world of continuous change, and technology has been the cause of a lot of that. But actually, technology is the answer also to a lot of that and provides a huge amount of solutions. So you will be thinking in the week ahead about how you evolve the requirements in your business and what that means for your applications. You'll be thinking about how you secure your data, how you transform your infrastructure in order to always be agile and to be ready, and how you empower your teams. But also, for those of you who are taking certification exams this week, I wish you good luck. I know from my own experience back in 1998, when I took the CCIE, just how hard that is, but also I know how it's worth it when you get there. So I wish you good luck with that. Now, we're going to transition to David Goeckeler and the engineering team. We're going to get techie, but first, let's go to the video.
I want to create stories that take people through new worlds like a roller coaster. Movies have been around for about 100 years, and the communal experience in a dark room shared with a bunch of strangers, that's not going away. But it's how that experience changes over time. We're always looking for how we can project better, how we can shoot it better, how we can make it sound better. And the faster technology gets, the better it is for a creative person. 260 terabits a second. That sounds like a very scary thing. I don't even know what it is. It sounds like a dinosaur. But I talked about my dreams if you could do games and you can make the experience much more realistic. The faster you're able to transmit heavier images, the better your experience will be. Filmmaking is a creative medium that uses a lot of people. You need to be connected, and connected really well. An average 2-hour movie is about 2,000, 2,500 shots. This one has 7,000 shots. Visual effects from Singapore, London, Canada, Germany, San Francisco, Los Angeles. As networks get faster and more robust, I'll be able to talk to all the artists, and it'll have the different countries up there, so they're all hearing me. I'll be able to do it all right there. I see all this on the horizon. Technology is in its infancy, but it's building and it's growing faster. And I see that happening with Cisco.
Between the film industry as it is and the film industry as it will be, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Please welcome EVP and GM Networking and Security Business, David Goeckeler.
All right, good morning, everyone. Everybody ready to go? Everybody ready to talk some technology? Thanks, Wendy, that was a fantastic start. All right, it's always great to be back in Europe. It's also really good to be back in Barcelona for the start of Cisco Live. This is a fantastic week if you're a Cisco engineer, because we get to talk about all the stuff that we've been building, sometimes for years before we get here and start to talk about it. Now, it's also great if you're in my position, is you get to start with a video like that. You get somebody like Michael Bay to create a video for you, one of the most innovative people in the world. And I have kind of 2 takeaways from that. First of all, we need to explain to Michael what a terabit is. It's not a dinosaur. So we're going to go work on that. That should be pretty straightforward. But the really interesting part of it is here you have somebody that's one of the most creative people in the world talking about technology is in its infancy, and we're just getting started. And that's kind of amazing for all of us, because we've been doing this our whole careers. This whole thing has been moving so fast. Feels like we're going so quick. Technology is evolving so fast. And here are the people that are using this technology. And they're talking about, wow, this is just in its infancy. If I start to look and see what I can do with all this technology, it's amazing. And that's what's so exciting about what we're going to do here today. Not only are we in Barcelona to kick off Cisco Live, we're here to kick off Cisco Live 2020. So a start of a whole new decade of technology that's going to start right here. And if we look back, let's look back at the last decade. What happened? It really was about the application. It was the rise of the application. Whatever we want to call it, there's lots of words for it. There's the rise of the application economy. There's every business is a software business. There's digitization, whatever you call it. There's been all of these accelerants, cloud computing, the mobile ecosystem, data science, that have really, really accelerated the development of the most sophisticated applications in the world, and they drive everything we do. Application is king. Towards the end of that decade, the infrastructure business that we're all a part of started to keep up, started to catch up. It's only been less than 3 years ago that we announced intent-based networking. And what I think this decade is going to be about is how these two worlds come together even more seamlessly to power this world of the most advanced applications. As Michael Bay said, we're just getting started, and we're going to talk about a lot of that technology here today. All right, last year on this stage, I spent a lot of time talking about a multi-domain architecture, about what Cisco is driving to transform all of the infrastructure. It's not just about innovating in one part of your infrastructure. It's not just how you evolve your campus network, or how we evolve the data center, or the multi-cloud environment. It's how we bring this all together into a multi-domain architecture to build that integrated, automated, and secure infrastructure to drive that world that the people like Michael Bay are going to innovate on top of. But let's zoom up for a second. We're going to talk about more than that here today. We're going to cover the whole portfolio. We're going to talk about all the outcomes that you need to drive. And at Cisco, we think about 4 of those. 1, how do you reimagine your application? We're going to start with that. 2, how do you secure your data? One thing that's not going to change from the last decade to this decade is the importance of security. It's been the number 1 or 2 CIO concern for years and years, continue to be that way. Cisco's largest enterprise cybersecurity company, we're driving that portfolio across the entire infrastructure. 3, how do you transform your infrastructure? Intent-based networking, we talked about that. And 4, empowering your teams. We're going to talk about the collaboration portfolio, but it's more than that. It's our customer experience team, and how do we work with you? It's DevNet. How do all of us change to deal with the new technology we're using every day? All right, let's get started. We got a lot to cover. There's a lot of things we've been working on we're going to talk about here. I got all kinds of friends that are going to come up and talk about them. But before we jump into it, I want to introduce one person that's sitting in the front row up here. All you people should know, Jerry Elliott here, Global Head of Sales and Marketing for Cisco. Jerry, welcome. All of you have a tremendous advocate in Jerry and her entire team at Cisco. All right, I'm going to keep us grounded as we go through all of these, because again, it's a big portfolio. There's lots of stuff to cover. There's lots of innovation we've been driving. We're going to start with the application. Where better to start? We're going to start with the application, talk about the evolution of the portfolio around AppDynamics and what we've been doing. But I want you to really pay attention to this, because there's going to be some surprising things that come out here. All right, Danny Whitaker leads that business for us. Danny, take it away.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everybody. So, as David said, applications over the past decade have moved from this role that they used to have of supporting our business to now playing a role where they actually are our business. And this has put all of us in IT under a lot of pressure. We're being expected to support constant change across hybrid multi-cloud environments that have to now keep pace our developers on those environments have to keep pace with the demands of experience-driven digital businesses. And this is really hard, right? Because the environments that we're all operating in have become enormously complex. We have different layered technology stacks across public and private cloud and traditional data center technologies. And it begs for us the question of how do we actually manage all of this exploding complexity and the constant change without breaking things, making sure that these applications that we're delivering remain flawless, which they have to do. Well, the way we need to do that is we need to get visibility to see what's going on, but visibility is not enough. We also need a lens through that visibility that allows us to actually prioritize what is really important so that we focus on what matters most and can avoid and eliminate the distraction of all of that noise, right? This is what AppDynamics does, right? What AppDynamics does is we tag and trace each component within your hybrid multi-cloud application and the calls among and between all of those components. And once we do that, we're able to monitor key performance indicators for the technical performance of the application, but we also correlate those to business performance metrics that actually are the ultimate thing that you need to accomplish as a business, right? Because the business, again, is inside that application. And we do this through the lens of what we refer to as a business transaction. And you can think of a business transaction as a pathway through your application to deliver a key outcome for your users, right? So while this is a powerful lens, we're really excited today that we're going to be introducing an additional new lens, and it complements the business transaction. So the business transaction allows you, when something goes wrong on the back-end components of your application, to immediately pinpoint what went wrong on the back end and look through that lens and focus right there on that root cause. The new feature that we're introducing today is going to complement that by giving you a view on the front-end user experience, where the screens are that the user is actually seeing on the front side of their application. So what I'd like to do is jump in and let you take a look at how this feature actually works. So here you see AppDynamics monitoring a fictional application, an application we call Next Gen Financial. And like most businesses, they rely upon their mobile and their web applications in order to interact and deliver all of their products and services to their customers, just like you would expect from an online bank. And you can see that they offer things like insurance quotes and loans and online bill pay. And AppDynamics is looking at the key business metrics at the top of the screen. And you can see that we actually have a problem, a yellow warning, on the dollars that are being generated by the insurance quotes. Down below, you see a list of all of the individual business transactions. Those business transactions are, again, those pathways through the application that are delivering those key outcomes. We've got a couple issues there as well. You can see that we've got a challenge with quotes being sent, and then further down in the middle, we've got a challenge with response time on applying discounts. Wouldn't it be helpful if we could actually correlate these different warnings through that lens of user experience in order to understand if and how they're related and what we should do about it? That takes us, if we click on the 450K warning, directly into the new feature that we're announcing today. This is the AppDynamics Experience Journey Map. It uses AI and machine learning in order to automatically map the journey your users are taking through the actual front-end screens that make up this application. And you can see that it's found 3 top journeys through the application that, of course, correspond to the top business metrics that we started with, right? So you can see that we have there the paying the bills, the loans, and the quoting. And if you follow the quoting journey, the bottom one of the 3, you shouldn't be surprised to see that, in fact, there is a problem with applying discounts, because we saw that in the prior screens. And we're there able to see not only that we have a technical problem, but you can also see that it's correlated to an important business metric, which is user abandonment, right? So we're losing 70% of our users at that stage in the journey. But just as importantly, if you follow that path through the journey all the way to the quotes being sent, you'll notice that there's no user experience problem there, right? Our abandonment is the same as normal, and our technical performance is the same as normal on that screen, even though we saw on the back end that there were some technical issues with components there. So we can click in and get more detail, but what we've learned now is that we actually don't need to immediately prioritize the quotes being sent. We need to focus our efforts on the challenges of applying discounts, because that's what's actually affecting our users. And so we can now go up and click on dashboards and reports and go dig down deeper. AppDynamics has a wealth of additional information. And we can begin to drill in and say, OK, let's look at what's going on in the stack that is supporting the application. So we've got some challenges on the application servers and on the VMs, but we know from the prior view in the in the experience journey map that we need to worry more about the discount services and the VMs there than we do about the application server problem on quotes being sent. Now, with any other APM tool, this is where we'd likely get stuck, because we would have siloed information for the app ops team and separate siloed information for the infrastructure ops team, and we'd get into pointing fingers at each other and not know how to come to agreement on what the real source of the problem is. But I'm excited to let you know that we have another new innovation that we're announcing today. And so to help me with this, I would like to invite my colleague, Liz Centoni, on stage to help us troubleshoot. Liz? Hi, Liz.
Hi, Danny. I can help you with that.
You think so?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
To do that, I've got to go into InterSight. And actually, before I do that, let me do a brief summary, because I can't expect that everybody would know what InterSight is about. So think about InterSight as our management as a service platform. So our customers actually use it to set up and manage their UCS servers, their HyperFlex clusters, their storage arrays, and it actually does the full lifecycle management of the infrastructure as well. So think things like firmware versions, OS upgrades. And it is a cloud service, so it can connect back to Cisco. And so if you have a machine that's not well, it can actually log a service request with Cisco TAG, send things like logs and files, and do this with very minimal human intervention. So we can get to root cause much faster. But today I'm excited to announce that we have new capabilities within InterSight, and it's called the Workload Optimizer. So let's go into what the Workload Optimizer looks like. So the first thing that you see when we launch the Workload Optimizer is a dependency graph on that left side. Each of those circles actually represent a different entity. What the dependency graph is saying is that each one of these entities is dependent on something else or uses those resources. So here, as you can see, we have 11 business applications. They're dependent on a number of app servers, VMs, and it goes all the way down to the storage lens, to the servers, even down to the switch ports. So in a sense, what it's doing is it's giving you a view of everything from the infrastructure all the way to the application. Now, the question would be is, how does InterSight get to know all of this?
Yep.
We actually make API calls to all of those entities. And we're able to find out the immediate dependency of each one of this, correlate it, connect it, and it builds out the dependency graph. Now, the Workload Optimizer also has a new capability which is a recommendation engine. And that recommendation engine pulls together performance, efficiency, compliance constraints. It takes a look also at historical usage patterns. It can spit out a bunch of actions in terms of saying, here's what you need to do in terms of troubleshooting, as well as how do you optimize your resources, especially in a hybrid multi-cloud world. So pretty cool stuff.
Very cool stuff. So it looks like you're actually pulling in all of the application topology data from AppDynamics. You're joining it with other data that you've collected from other elements in the infrastructure. And in this view, it looks like you're actually monitoring all the applications in the estate, not just Next-Gen Financial.
You're right. And the recommendation engine is pretty powerful. So as you can see, not all the circles on there are green.
Right.
Some of them are yellow and red. So the recommendation engine is saying, hey, look, you've got a couple of alerts. You can go check them out and take action on it.
OK, so Liz, this looks pretty powerful. But what about Next-Gen Financial? That's the problem we need to solve.
That's what I came up here to talk about, right? I got a little carried away. All right, so let's go into what Next-Gen Financial looks like. I'm going to click on the application button, and it takes you down to, it shows you the 11 applications. And by the way, we pull this information from AppD.
Okay.
So I'm going to as you can see, the third one on there is Next Gen Financial. I'm going to click on that. It opens up and builds out the dependency map just specific to Next Gen Financial. It again makes those same API calls, looks at the immediacy, and builds that out.
Very cool.
Now, as you can see on here is, the app actually looks green. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But both the app server and VM actually shows that it's yellow. So if I click on the VM, what it does is it shows me that both VM3 and VM4, by the way, these are the same two VMs that you showed on the AppD graph,
right,
or in the AppD dashboard, they're running a little hot.
Okay.
So the recommendation is saying, hey, increase the memory allocation by about 1 GB, and you can actually bring the application back to its optimal performance. And all the other capacity stats look pretty fine.
So that's pretty amazing. You've actually got the exact same VMs, the same data that we had in AppDynamics, but you've been able to drill all the way down into all of the infrastructure dependencies and root cause immediately to the memory congestion with a recommendation on what we can do to actually fix it.
That's right. And actually, it's pretty simple. All you do is actually click Apply, and the action's taken. By the way, our teams, in terms of the infra ops teams and the app ops teams, they have the same view to this correlated data set. So they'd be actually working on this already and taking proactive action before you actually even see your application or your end user having an experience issue.
Excellent. So should we go look at AppDynamics again and see if the app's better?
Here's the result of it.
All right, look at this. You fixed my problem. Everything is green. Thank you. Now, I'm not aware of a single other application performance management tool that can do this, right? Where we can actually go from the application all the way down into the infrastructure stack and actually solve something together across teams that quickly.
If you think that's cool, I've got another use case for you.
What else do you have?
We looked at proactive troubleshooting. Let's go and take a look at how do we optimize resources, especially in a hybrid multi-cloud world.
Okay.
Because I think everyone in the audience would say, if I get an opportunity to save money, I absolutely want to do that. So I'm going to take you back into Workload Optimizer.
Okay.
This time, the dependency graph that you're seeing is in the hybrid view. So it's looking at all the resources that the application uses, but not just on premises, but in the cloud as well. Again, it makes API calls to the multiple cloud providers and is able to actually pull up this information. So I'm going to hover over the VMs because it's actually showing that there's a number of severities, both in red and yellow. I'm going to click on the ones that have actions against it in yellow. And it gives you a whole list of them. If I highlight one that's related to the cloud and expand on that, what it does show you is actually your application can move to a different instance type, and it can save money. And it gives you this very granular view down to the decimal in terms of how much money that you can save. Because when you think about it, you know, optimizing for the cloud brings its own set of challenges. I mean, think about it. Last year, you probably had a set of instance types. Today, when you look at it, you probably have more than double that. And each instance type comes in that's curated for its own memory, compute, storage, bandwidth, and capacity. And they've got their own rate cards. And usually when you're deploying your application, you use the most optimal for what's needed for your application. That's important, but it's not sufficient because you've got to look at the whole life cycle of the application, and as it changes, how do you continue to optimize resources?
Sure.
That's exactly what Workload Optimizer does for you.
So that looks pretty powerful, and it looks like you're actually optimizing across both public cloud instances and on-premise instances. Are you using machine learning to actually accomplish that?
We have to, because we're pulling in massive amounts of information. Because when you look out there, you know, you get examples of where this is done at the infra layer, or it's done at the virtualization layer, or it's been done at the app layer. This is the first time where we're showing a full stack view from the infrastructure all the way to the application.
Wow, it's really, really powerful. So if I take a look now at the combination of what we've just been able to build, we're now all the way up at the experience journey level and the business information, looking through that lens of user experience. We see a problem. We've now gone down into Intersight and actually shown that the data is transmitting from one to the other so that our teams can work together in this new powerful closed-loop operating model.
That's right. And in addition to that closed-loop operating model in terms of predictive troubleshooting, It also helps you optimize the resources in this hybrid multi-cloud world. So think about it. The infrastructure is dynamic. It's now moving and changing to the changing needs of this experience-driven application. There's a lot more that we're launching today, and we can go through this in a little bit more detail. So actually, come see us in the launch zone or in the world of solutions. So David, I'll hand it back to you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Fantastic stuff. All right, so Danny, first of all, just make sure I got it. That's a lot in 15 minutes. To your point, Liz, it can be out there in the launch zone in the world of solutions. But first of all, journey maps at the application level. So more detail, more granularity. Application is king. Get more detail into exactly what's wrong and where problems are.
Exactly.
And then, Liz, the ability, actually, even in a hybrid cloud world, which everybody uses, the ability to drill down into the infrastructure and correlate the application world to the infrastructure, and not only correlate it for troubleshooting, but optimize the infrastructure to get the best performance possible.
Summarized it well.
Perfect.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think we're just going to continue to see more and more integration. I think one of the things I talked about last year is every click of the portfolio, when we launch more technology, you're going to see this broad portfolio we have get closer and closer integrated to deliver a very different value proposition to all of you in running your business. All right, let's go on to the intent-based networking. I talk about that in the open, big change in the way networks are built. We launched this not even 3 years ago now, and in Cisco, we've now brought the entire portfolio from the campus, wireless switching to the branch to the data center, all under one leader. That's Scott Harrell. He's going to come on stage and talk to you about what's latest in intent-based networking. Scott, take it away.
All right, it's awesome to be here. You know, we just got done talking a lot about applications, but this is a Cisco Live, so it seems imperative that we talk about the network as well. And there's no bigger change in the network right now than the move from SDN, software-defined networking, to intent-based networking. And really, when we break this down about what is so different about intent-based networking, it's about the idea that you're going to use English language policy and use a network-wide fabric to program the network. But also, increasingly important is every single controller that Cisco is building, everything we're doing that's around the network, we're also now bringing in a next-generation analytics layer to bear. And we're doing this across everything we make, whether it's in the branch, in the campus, whether it's in the data center, the IoT infrastructure, or out to the cloud. And the goal here at the end of the day is for you that are operating these complex networks, these global networks, to simplify things. Because we know your world is getting more dynamic, there's more change than ever, and you need to run at a faster speed. But at the same time, security never goes away as a care about, as David said. And we know that things like segmentation now need to be able to be done everywhere you have a network instance to provide that better security, and this is another outcome intent-based networking can drive. But one of the things we're really focused on is also about how this interacts with the cloud. The multi-domain story that David was talking about now is inclusive of the cloud, and that's where I want to start with automation. And for a lot of your organizations, the cloud is just this magical, wonderful place. It's a serene place that you want to go hang out, and it's going to solve all your IT problems. The reality is, though, for many of you in IT operations, this is anything but the truth. Instead of this incredibly peaceful scene, it's much more like the running of the bulls in Pamplona. It's what you feel every day, because now your world's become more dynamic. You've become responsible for those workloads in the cloud that Liz was talking about. You've become responsible for the connectivity out to that cloud and the security. And that increases the things you have to deal with as an IT organization. And so what we're doing, and what Liz and Danny showed you at the end there, is we're starting to bridge those two worlds. We're starting to bring IT operation consistency between the cloud and on-prem so that your single tool can now help you manage both. And what you saw was how we do that for app and workload management. But we're doing the exact same thing for security. We're doing the exact same thing for networking. In fact, last year here at Cisco Live Barcelona, we launched something called ACI Anywhere, which is about how you take your policies from your data center and seamlessly migrate them into the cloud. And we basically make it simple to do by calling the APIs, by taking all the semantics that are native to that are different between AWS and Azure and GCP, and abstracting that all away so that you can have the same segmentation policy on-prem as in the cloud. And as new applications appear in either place, it can dynamically adjust. And so we're going to continue to do this from a networking point of view, and there's no hotter market right now in networking than SD-WAN. And what we're doing in SD-WAN is, of course, we're automating across any type of WAN connectivity, whether it's cellular, whether it's classical MPLS, or whether it's broadband. But increasingly, we're being asked by our customers to not just integrate and automate out from the branch, but into the cloud, into your SaaS providers, into your IS providers, into your colo facility. And this is where we've been making a ton of incremental investment, and it's been extremely well received. In fact, of our customer base, 70% of the Fortune 100 customers now have Cisco SD-WAN. Amazing take-up. And we know that for many of you, you either have a project for SD-WAN or you're going to have one in the next couple of years. And what I would encourage you to think about as you go down this path is not just think about selecting SD-WAN as a connectivity medium from the branch, but starting to think about how you actually are going to use SD-WAN to automate your on-ramp to the cloud. And what we're going to do to interconnect it with your SaaS services, your IS services, your colo services, so that your SD-WAN fabric now extends into the cloud itself. So to give you some idea about how we do this, when you think about Office 365, it's a suite of applications. We've integrated with the APIs directly from our centralized SD-WAN console so that we dynamically and automatically optimize those connections for all your users. And what it means for your users is they're going to get up to a 40% performance improvement when they use Office 365, with Cisco SD-WAN. We're doing the same type of thing with your IS providers, your infrastructure as a service providers, AWS, Azure, where we're interconnecting SD-WAN directly into their clouds. And so that as new VPCs are discovered or VNets are created, we automatically configure segmentation, we automatically configure connectivity and security into that cloud using that same central SD-WAN console. And then a lot of you are actually starting to embrace the colo and start to use the colo as a local DMZ, a drop-off point for your traffic. And we've partnered with people like Equinix to make that simple as well, so that when you want to extend your SD-WAN fabric into that colo, we can make that a one-click as well. And in fact, we even brought into the same management console the ability to orchestrate security services for that colo. So the sum of all this is that we come back to what I started with there, which is around IT consistency. How do we make your life simpler? How do we enable you to expand to the cloud in a much simpler way and actually retain your sanity, make sure that you have the same type of kind of Zen moment that picture implied when your organization adopts the cloud? So that's a lot about where we're innovating in automation. But when I started talking about intent-based networking, I said one of the biggest changes is this need to actually start to adopt analytics. And we at Cisco, we believe strongly that every network element must become a sensor. Every network element, whether it's a switch, whether it's an AP, or whether it's a router, must produce data really to drive three primary outcomes. One is around security insights, two is around business insights, and three is around IT insights. When we talk about security insights, this is really around how we start to do new things that have never been possible before. How we start to balance the needs for security for an enterprise with the privacy of an individual using technology like encrypted traffic analytics, where we can inspect the flow without ever decrypting it and assert whether or not it's potentially malicious. Nobody else in the world can do this. And we can do this by using the data that comes from the network. About 6 or 7 months ago, we actually launched something new called DNA Spaces. And DNA Spaces is really about taking the data that's available from the network and allowing you to mash it up with other sources of data in your enterprise and actually drive outcomes that drive business outcomes, drive better customer engagement when they're in your facilities, help your users and your employees actually be more intelligent about how they use the environment that they're in, things like wayfinding, things like loyalty engagement programs, and make your environment more dynamic and leverage the power of the network to do that. But I know many of you in the audience, you're in the business of running network, and so there's probably no bigger concern than the IT Insight side of this. And we've been investing heavily in the IT Insight side, bringing analytics to all the different controllers we make. And Liz and Danny talked a lot about how we can use those analytics to simplify how you troubleshoot apps. But the reality is we know from a lot of experience, many of the people in the room know that the first thing that's usually blamed whenever there's a problem, whether it's with the user or with the app, is always the network. And we want to help you with that problem. We want to help you actually troubleshoot that network when it's in the data center. And the challenge here is that data center has gotten much more complex to troubleshoot. We know that as the workloads increase and the amount of workloads that you're trying to manage become more dynamic, the troubleshooting of that environment becomes increasingly complex. And you're going to have issues. 97% of you, so pretty much everybody in the room, your company's experienced some kind of critical business application outage in the last 6 months. And when those happen, time is money. The average cost per hour of an outage is around 228,000 euros per hour. And so this ability to synthesize all this data and get you to the root cause fast is critical. And sometimes you're going to start from the app layer, sometimes you're going to start from the compute layer, and sometimes you're going to start from the network layer. And this is where Cisco Data Center Network Insights comes in. It's a brand new solution that actually integrates directly inside of your existing products, ACI, DCNM, and for your data center, and allows you to actually use those tools to get to root cause. And we can do things that nobody else can do. We can actually not only bring out all the stats and the data that we know from your Nexus switches, but we can also combine that with flow data, because our cloud scale ASICs produce the richest set of flow data of any ASICs on the market. And we can use that to quickly pinpoint an issue with an application and get you down to which leaf potentially had a problem, get you down to whether it was the switch or whether it was the server or whether it was a particular app. This is something uniquely that Cisco can do. It's available now, and it's available integrated inside of ACI and DCNM. All right, so that's all about analytics. So we talked about automation, we talked about analytics, we talked about how important they are for intent-based networking and how you want to extend them to the cloud. But all of us still have our on-prem facilities, and what we see happening in our on-prem facilities is actually that one of the biggest disruptions is the marriage of IT and OT. And the fact that many of you that have historically been in IT are now being asked to take over the management of OT. And we've extended our intent-based networking solutions into the OT. We've actually brought them together so that you can manage it in a simple way and manage as a unified solution so that you can produce outcomes like better security for your organization. And rather than me talk about it, I actually want to bring up our IoT expert, who happens to be Liz Centoni, back up on stage to talk to you about it.
Thanks, Scott. You know, last year when we were here in Barcelona, we talked about how we're extending intent-based networking to the IoT edge. So think about it in terms of we're helping you connect your factories, your ports, your refineries, your mines. Your network is actually becoming even more important to meeting operational goals like availability, reliability, and safety. But the top concerns still remain. Questions I get asked is, how do I protect my critical infrastructure? How do I make sure that I have complete control of my operations so that they do exactly what I need it to do? And how do I keep my people and assets safe? So I was talking to somebody who actually lives this every single day, thinking about this every single day. So I asked him to come in and join us. So please help me welcome the head of product security for Airbus Helicopter, Stefan Chopard.
Hello, Liz. Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much. I realized that I went by the slides and also missed the fact that 68% of our customers actually talk about security every single day, which is something that you had confirmed as well. So, Stefan, when we were talking about this, one of the things that you mentioned surprised me. You said that Airbus makes 1 out of every 2 helicopters in the world.
Yeah, that's right. And almost half of these are going to military forces. That's why it's very important for Airbus to protect our IP and trade secrets. But we have also to ensure the resilience of our manufacturing facilities in order to be able to deliver to our customer on time and that our product meets the highest quality standards. One day of lost production anywhere in Airbus Helico may have a huge financial impact. And even worse, if a hacker could modify the configuration of our industrial asset, it can put our workers or customers at risk, and that's not acceptable.
So let me see, I'm just going to summarize what you just said in terms of, because you had a long list.
Yeah.
You want everything from, you want your production running 24/7, you want the highest quality, and you want to keep people safe, and assets safe as well. And when we were talking about the challenges that industrial networks face, because these networks have been around or industrial environments have been around for a very long time. So how are you going about, and this is what the audience would like to know, securing your production facilities?
So we initiated a program to better protect our industrial control system. The ICS network is a network controlling our CNCs or sensors on all the assets we use to manufacture and assemble the various components of an helicopter. But over the years, we added many new industrial assets, many new network equipment and connectivity, and the business was more focusing on the operational objective than on the security architecture. So the first thing we did was to perform a full risk assessment on the OT domain.
So you used cybervision to do that. Now, as you went through that security assessment, did you find anything surprising?
So we worked with one of our cybersecurity partner, Orange Cyberdefense, to perform this assessment. And we used cybervision to discover the asset. This solution is great because it listens to your network and automatically discovers the assets and maps the communication flows. Finally, this assessment gave us three main things. First, a list of vulnerabilities our equipment have, and now we have a plan to fix it where possible. Second, we have an exhaustive list of the machine with cellular capabilities for remote maintenance, and now we can better control the access. And third, we have a list of machines which were not correctly or adequately configured, and we have a plan for optimization. As you may know, many ICS networks are flat, and we wanted to work on segmentation in order to avoid the threat can propagate over the ICS network. And at this stage, the inventory of assets was a key first step.
So just even looking at your list, right? So assessment gave you, hey, these devices are vulnerable, so you patch them. You made sure that people only who need access to the machine should get access to it. Not everybody else should. And now you're proceeding with segmentation. Does that cover it comprehensively?
Oh, not totally. But the integration of cybervision with ISE will help the deployment of this segmentation project. We are preparing the move to Industry 4.0. And the fact that cybervision is now natively built in Cisco switches will speed up and help the deployment of this project. What we have to look at now is how to integrate this in our Security Operations Center. The plan is to streamline the investigation and the remediation of both IT and OT incidents. But perhaps in this area, you can help again.
So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in terms of how we're helping IT and OT, two teams that most often don't talk to each other. That's another thing that we talked about as well. Come together to solve this security issue. Stefan, thank you so much. Appreciate having you here.
Bye.
So as Stefan talked about, the fact is that you have to start with visibility. He needed to know what was in his environment before they even take the next step. So when we look at this, we look at it and go, visibility is that first key step that you take before you do anything else. Because once you do visibility, you then get the identity of the device. You know what the devices are. You can actually group these together. And once you do that, you can define policy, which then gets executed. And when that is established, you can now monitor for changes that are happening in this environment. Because not every change is malicious. It could just even be plain human error. For us, cybervision is a key part of our IoT security portfolio. It automates the discovery of a number of operational assets that actually sits on things like a factory floor. A PLC, which is a programmable logic controller. It could be an I/O, it could be a drive. In a utility area, it could be a remote terminal unit. And CyberVision actually uses passive DPI, so it never gets in the way of your industrial processes. And it decodes a lot of protocols like Profinet, Modbus, Ethernet IP. And the information that it actually pulls out is very, very granular. You get make of the device, you get the model number, you get the serial number, you get the firmware version. It tells you the vulnerability. It tells you what assets are talking to what other assets. And what changes are being made if somebody actually comes in and modifies that program that you have on the PLC, which is very critical in absolutely running that production line better. And it actually can pull all this information out into a dashboard, so somebody like a plant manager on an Airbus factory floor can drill down and look at just the information that they need for their job. And by the way, industrial networks are not just, as we know, contained in one factory. It could go across an entire country. It could go to many remote locations as well. So how do you do this visibility and identity of the devices at scale and at a reasonable cost? This is why we took the CyberVision sensor and we've integrated that into our industrial switches and our routers and our APs. So now you're decoding all that traffic locally and you're only sending back a summary. So think about it as a summary of that network traffic. That's simplicity at scale. Good performance at a pretty reasonable cost. And we've integrated CyberVision into ICE. So you can do things like bringing segmentation and microsegmentation, things that you're doing in the enterprise, now down into these industrial control systems environments. And for those of you who actually use StealthWatch, we take this traffic, we take all the device information and pass it into StealthWatch. So from that StealthWatch console, now when you look at it, you can get granular information on what is sitting behind that IP address. Whether it's a PLC, it's an I/O, or a drive, or a vision camera. So to meet the threats of today and address them going forward as well, you need to help IT and OT come together. Helping IT bring the tools and the capabilities that you've been working with and knowledge that you have for the past 10 plus years, and where OT brings in the business context. We're helping IT and OT come together, driven by security. So David, I'll hand it back to you.
All right, thanks, Liz. Wow, Liz, you've been busy. You're getting a lot of stuff done here.
Just a little bit.
So you've been driving this IoT business now for a couple of years, and again, you see, we just continue to drive the portfolio together. First, DNA Center that covers the IT and the OT environment, then Polaris across all the ruggedized switches, and now in security, bringing all the industrial protocols into the whole security architecture.
I'm very proud to say we have the assets, and we're driving the integration to bring IT and OT together.
Okay, great. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
All right, let's change gears real quick. Let's talk about the big I internet, that big, big, big internet and all the technology it takes to build that network. And go back to the video, and Michael Bay was talking about streaming 250 terabits. How do we think about the technology it takes to build the largest networks in the world and to build the internet that we're going to need for the next decade or more? That's a problem we've been working on at Cisco, of building that fundamental technology. These are projects that are years and years in the works, and we're now coming out with a whole new set of technology across the fundamental parts of networking to build the largest networks in the world. To tell you about that, Jonathan Davidson, who leads our service provider business, come on up, take us through it.
All right, thank you very much, David. I am excited to be back here in Barcelona with all of you. It's not very often that you get to have the opportunity to explain how we've been building technology for the next phase of the internet for the past 4 years, and we've had the opportunity to spend well over $1 billion doing it. So It's a big burden to be able to spend $1 billion, but it's well worth it, and you'll see that in the coming future. But before we get there, I want to explain why we decided that we needed to go and spend all of this money to help create the innovation necessary to propel us into the next version of the internet. And it comes down to some simple factors. And those of you who are in the service provider domain know that your CapEx budget has basically stayed flat since 2012. However, the data rate on the internet is still growing at 30% annually. In fact, mobile traffic continues to grow at almost 50% annually. So if your budgets are flat, but bandwidth continues to grow, that means a single dollar or a single euro needs to do 11 times the amount of work today than it did just a few years ago. And that's only part of the problem. Because for every single dollar or euro of CapEx, you have 5 additional dollars that go into the OpEx side of the business, managing all of that infrastructure, the buildings, the power, and all of the things that you need to pay for to actually keep that infrastructure running. So what we did is we wanted to go and focus on the key elements, the seminal technology that actually will help you transform and build that next version of the internet. We focused on 3 key things. One is specifically around silicon, optics, software, and how those all come together in systems. So let me dive into each one of those for the next few minutes. First, in December, we announced an entirely new family of silicon, starting with Silicon One. This is the first piece of silicon that breaks the 10 terabit barrier for routing. Now, we wanted to have a clean sheet architecture. We didn't use any prior silicon families. We started it completely clean from the ground up, which enabled us to focus on having the benefits of switching with all of the feature sets that you need for routing, including big buffers. It has 2 times the bandwidth and 3 times the packets per second of the next nearest, closest routing silicon. This is industry leading. Not only that, but it has over 80% less power utilization per 100 gigabit than the next nearest routing silicon. So the team set out to do something that was thought of as not being possible, and they made it possible with Silicon One. It's something we're all very, very, very excited about. Now, if we move forward to what's happening with optics. Now, Cisco, you may not know, but we actually have been building optics for well over 10 years now. But over the last 12 months, we have spent $3 billion to acquire 2 new optic technology companies. One, Luxtera, to help us automate the actual building of optics themselves, specifically around 100 gig CWDM. But we also announced the intention to acquire a company called Acacia that is going to help us, when that closes later this year, go and move into the coherent optics space. Now, it's important to note that if you go back, well, one of the reasons why we did this is not only for architectural change, but also how money is being spent. If you go back 10 years or so ago and you look at the cost to move a bit from point A to point B, about 90% of the cost was actually in the router and 10% was in the optic. If you go to today, you're looking at well over 50% of the cost is in the optic, and the rest of that is in the network element. If you move to a coherent world, you're looking at well over 80% of the cost is now in the optic, and then the rest of that are in the network elements. So not only is where the cost is changing, is moving around, but also the fact that we have this new technologies with silicon and optics coming closer together, there's new architectures that we can take advantage of as well. So later this year, there's actually going to be a new type of optic coming out called ZR, and then following that called ZR Plus for longer reach, that's going to enable you to take a transponder that was traditionally in a separate chassis and actually put it into the pluggable and then plug that directly into your routed elements. This means that you can dramatically simplify your infrastructure, have fewer network elements inside the infrastructure, and make it easier to automate that infrastructure. This is something you'll be hearing more about as the year progresses. All right, we talked about silicon, we talked about optics. It's time to talk about software. Cisco IOS XR powers the majority of the world's internet. But it's also 20 years old, and we determined it was time to reimagine this OS. And so we've been spending the last several years going through and simplifying it, optimizing it, actually removing code out of this software so that we can go and make it easier to deploy by shrinking the image down. We also can simplify it with new and greater open interfaces so it can tie more easily into your automation systems. And we've also created a whole new level of trust inside of XR as well that starts with hardware and goes all the way up through the OS. But this is also the first operating system for critical infrastructure that is cloud enhanced or cloud augmented. And let me talk to you a little bit about what that is. So first of all, Cisco Crosswork is taking intent-based networking and applying that automation portfolio to the service provider. And it's a set of on-premise applications, but also we've now augmented that with a set of cloud-based applications. The first of which I want to tell you about is Cisco Crosswork Network Insights, which helps you understand if any of your BGP routes have been hijacked anywhere in the world. We have real-time data on over 300 million BGP routes globally, and we can notify you within seconds if anyone accidentally or maliciously has tried to take control of your routes anywhere in the world. That's number one. The second is Trust Insights. We want to make sure that you know that you have an immutable source of truth so that the hardware that's deployed is known good hardware and that the software that's deployed is known good software as well. And that's Cisco Crosswork Trust Insights. The third one is all about the qualification environment. You know, one of the things that people tell me is the amount of time that it takes from when we deploy new software and put it on Cisco.com to all the testing that needs to happen for you to then go and put that software into your network. We wanted to make it a lot easier for you. So what we've done is we've created a cloud service where you can upload your configuration, you can select what hardware platform you have and what version of code you want to test on. And using machine learning, we actually dynamically build a test plan for you, which you can then run in the cloud, or you can have a connectivity back to your own lab, and you can actually run the tests from the cloud utilizing your own equipment and your own lab. We expect this to dramatically decrease the amount of time between when we put out a new software release to when you're actually able to deploy that release into your infrastructure. So you can go from 3, 6, 9 months of manual testing that you might do down to a few days of testing or even less than that, something we're very excited about. All right, now if you take the silicon, you take the optics, you take the software, you need to be able to put that together in market-leading systems. And what we have now is an entirely new platform called the Cisco 8000 family that in a single RU, you can have 10.8 terabits per second in a single routed device. And if that wasn't enough, you actually can go and have a modular platform going all the way up to 18 slots at 14.4 terabits per slot, and you can have a grand total of 260 terabits in a single platform. This is going to enable the next version of the internet with all of these great architectural foundations coming together. So with that, a real recap, just because there's a lot coming at you. Number one, the most advanced silicon in the world is now out, Silicon One. We have cloud-enhanced operations with XR7 with a whole new level of trust, and we have a whole new family of portfolio, the Cisco 8000. You can go out into the world of solutions, take a look at the platform family itself, and you also could take a look at the silicon as well. Don't forget to take a selfie. All right, David, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. All right, Jonathan, I always think of, when I think of our portfolio, I think of my business networking, silicon, software, optics. How do you put all three together? You get networks. and all 3 are new. Is that right?
You got it.
All 3 are new from the ground up. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that's a lot. Everybody hanging in there? Good, good, good. All right, now we're going to get to the coolest part of the portfolio. The part of the portfolio that everybody can reach out and touch and talk about all the new things going on in collaboration. Sri, come up and take it away.
Thank you, David. Buenos dias, everyone. I am so happy to be in the midst of our best customers in this beautiful city at the start of this decade, talking Cisco collaboration. What more can a geek want in life? So if you haven't seen Cisco collaboration lately, you're in for a big surprise. It's a whole new world. A modern workplace, a modern portfolio beckons your workplace, your employee experience, and your customer experience. Now, rather than me telling you, let's hear from one of our customers, one of you.
Our world is a big place, full of choices. We are in hospitality and vacation business. We communicate with the customer before, when they are in an apartment, and after. We have a Webex devices where the people can interact with us, just touch the screen and start to speak. From the directory within Webex, we can send to them a picture, we can send a file, we can send an invitation to a specific event.
The language detection is important because we have an international market. Our contact centers are able to deliver the best proposal to the customer.
It's important the customer routing to the right representative. For that reason, we use Webex calling. We are radically changing the way we live and the way we interact with technology. But we don't need to speak with technology. We need to speak with humans. Webex is a tool to facilitate this communication.
Wow. Holders taking advantage of the entire portfolio. They are pretty much not only transforming their employee and customer experience, they've changed how they do business. Now we've gone from disparate apps, from calling, meetings, messaging, into one single, simple, gorgeous app that meets all their needs. This new app, Webex Teams, is fully personalizable to bring your brand into the workplace, rightfully so. Modular to work the way you want it. If you only want to use meetings, if you are a person who just loves to make calls, on a message, any combination thereof, we've got it. It's live now. Now this app, here's the kicker. It's the tip of a very large platform iceberg. And one of the potent benefits of this, important here in Europe, is the immense security blanket enveloping this platform. We've taken a security and privacy respectful approach to our intelligence platform, cognitive collaboration. Now let me tell you how that works. I'm sure you can empathize with me. We all spend way too much time in meetings, don't we? What with all those action items you have to keep track of every single day? Even harder, trying to remember what was said in those meetings. You go back at the end of the day, try to remember one of those small tidbits. It's so hard, right? If you have that problem, we've got a solution for that. Our Webex platform now comes with real-time transcription and translation capabilities so that you can track those action items with ease. And fear of forgetting what was said in a meeting, a thing of the past. Let's take a listen.
Ok, Webex. Inicia mi junta. Hola. ¿Cómo están?
Hi. Okay, let's get started. I've shared a file with you.
Espera un momento, por favor.
Okay, If you open tab 3 in the document I sent, you can see a full breakdown of all the projects. But let's first review last year's projects list for a comparison.
Cool, eh? Webex speaks Spanish. I'm sure many of you in this room are wondering skeptically, is my data stored right here in Europe? Is it encrypted? Is it secure? Do I have the privacy controls? I would be one of you too. I got you covered. Webex, rest assured, has the privacy controls, is GDPR compliant. Now, what I just showed you, this app, for all types of Webex users, globally connects to one single platform. Well, there's something missing in this story of mine. Interoperability. Good news, folks. Now we connect to Microsoft, Google, Apple, and all the other applications your employees live in every single day. Hello, ecosystem. Let's take a closer look. I'm sure many of you are wondering, did he just say Microsoft on stage here? Yes, I did. For too long, Microsoft has been an or. Microsoft or Cisco. Now it's an and. Cisco and Microsoft. Now let's take a look at one of those example scenarios. I've got a Microsoft Teams meeting here. You can see the purple band, with a bunch of folks joined on their desktop, on their mobile phone. And we've got this beautiful Cisco device there in this large meeting room of ours, waiting to join that meeting. Neil, can you hit that green button? Now, as soon as you hit that green button, we go from the Cisco Webex cloud securely all the way into Azure, into Office 365, and bring that interop across these two worlds that have been separate for far too long. It does take a little bit. And as you can see, it's now there. It's connected right in, so the lights are shining bright. And Neil, can you change the layout from prominent to equal so that we can see that the device is fully joined? It'll be better in a smaller meeting room. And as you can see, we come with all the rich layouts that you've come to see in our device portfolio. Thank you, Neil. As you can see, we're only getting warmed up. We're getting started for the sake of the choices our end users make, not only with devices, but also calling. Now, on the subject of calling, if you happen to be one of our call manager customers, one of the 92 million users, despair not. We got something for you too. This unified app connects directly to Call Manager, blowing open the door to all the innovation I talked about, meetings, messaging, transcription, cloud-based innovation, without any additional deployment cost to you. Resulting benefit to you, a killer employee experience. Webex now is the connective tissue driving modern-day workplace transformation. Whether you're on your mobile phone, in front of a desk, in a meeting room, we make sure you get the same information wherever you go. Now, no session of ours is complete if we haven't shown you one of our brilliant devices. I've got a few up my sleeve today, and I plan to show you at least two of them. So the very first one, announcing the Instant Office, the Webex Desk Pro, and joining us, Anne-Marie from Oslo.
Yes, hi Sri, and hi everyone. Great to see you all. So I'm now joining you from the amazing new Desk Pro, and these new features are so cool. Like now, for example, I've been sitting down for a couple of hours, so if you guys don't mind, I'll just get up and stretch my legs a little bit.
Whew.
You see that? The camera is automatically following me.
So, Anne-Marie, you got a pretty messy office back there.
You think?
Yeah.
What mess?
That's cool, right? So, this adoring audience that has just woken up would love to see you right here in Barcelona showing these devices.
Sure thing.
Aha.
So, thanks to my Desk Pro, I can actually now join meetings from anywhere and look professional in any meeting.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. The Webex Desk Pro, everyone. You guys ready for this piece of innovation? Join us at the World of Solutions and see how this device is going to transform every desk in your office or the remote office. Now, you've been table pounding for a long, long time for a new, immersive, rich experience for C-suites, boardrooms, and executive rooms the world over. Alas, the wait is over for the first time in Europe. Announcing the new Webex Room Panorama, everyone, with Anne-Marie again.
So welcome back. And I now moved into the boardroom, right? And we're using the brand new Room Panorama. So that's the same setup as you guys have on your side. And this is our new flexible, immersive flagship experience. So instead of cutting the table in half, we're now cutting the room in half. And flexibility means more options in room design. It could be bigger rooms like the one we are in. It could be the more classic immersive scenarios that you all know, or anything in between.
It also means we support any type of meeting, immersive or multi-purpose, you name it. So it's really great experience for me to sit here and being able to easily engage with all of my colleagues here in this room. And at the same time, being able to look down the table and fully connect with all of you. Well, I should say almost all of you. So back to you, Sri.
Thank you. Thank you to Anne-Marie, Tobias, and the whole Oslo team. They are just fantastic, aren't they? Come back at the end of the session. You can come and check out this beautiful Webex Room Panorama. Join us at the World of Solutions. We've got a device there, too. Now, as you saw from the Haldus video that I shared with you earlier, it's not just about employee experience when you're transforming your business. It's also about your customer experience. Let me show you how Webex Contact Center can help. Today, more and more companies, as you know, are selling experiences, not just products, like these companies out here. We as enterprises in this room, we as consumers in this room, are used to that best experience where there's no support call. Enterprises in this room know that a support call is just inevitable. But are we proactively ready to handle today's changing customer expectations? Can we preempt issues? Can we self-heal problems as they manifest? Do we learn from every support incident? Is the product getting better? Now, customer buying patterns today are influenced by stellar customer experiences more than just product. With Cisco Webex Contact Center, we are infusing intelligence into every facet of that engagement. Intelligent experience management to bring awareness of that customer journey, that important customer journey. AI-powered super agents with the right information at their fingertips to expediently resolve issues. No more reactive agents. And finally, cognitive collaboration. You heard Haldus talk about this. Bring the human back into the interaction with the customer. More and more, you have to leave an indelible, positive mark with that customer, and our customers are future buyers too. Let's take a look at how our contact center is transforming the experience at T-Mobile.
To provide this kind of customer service for our team of experts, we've made promises to our customers. We have 16,000 agents on the Cisco Contact Center platform, and this system has been tuned to route that call to the right person each and every time. Our attrition rate has gone from 42% to 22%. Our churn has gone from 2.5% to 0.78%. And our customer base has gone from 33 million customers to 83 million customers. Cognitive collaboration is what we're going to focus on next, and providing these agents the tools they need to service those customers the first time.
Wow, what an incredible story. You saw Halldis and T-Mobile powering some amazing transformations. We are here to learn. We are invested in your future with our innovation engines. Modern Cisco collaboration, with its focus on AI, security and privacy, respectful approaches, beckons you. Thank you. Back to you, David.
All right, Sri. Oh, that was a lot. Webex translates Spanish in real time.
Yeah.
Integration with Teams, and whole new devices for the desktop, for the whole room. Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Take care. All right, we've covered an enormous amount of technology here today, and we've got one group that's going to take us home, which is all about how do we help you consume all of this technology, which is really important to us, and how do we engage with you? And there's been a lot of changes in that space in Cisco over the last couple of years. And of course, it wouldn't be a keynote if we didn't cover DevNet. So to take us home, Alistair, Wildman, and Susie Wee. Come on up, take it over.
Thank you, David. Thank you. And first, let me start by welcoming you all to Cisco Live 2020, and thank you all for being here today. I'd also like to just say that we say a year since we've been here, but our company mission hasn't changed. Our number one mission is to make sure that we make you successful. And what I'd like to start to do first is to run a video of a customer we've been working with this year to help them be successful. They're from Dubai, from the Middle East, and they're preparing for the world's greatest show. Roll the video.
When the world converges in one place, the stakes are high. For 168 years, the World Expo has grown from Fair of the Future to the world's greatest show. But through all the advancements in spectacle, there's always connection. But when you're expecting 25 million visits and up to 250,000 users each day, all within a 6-month event, how do you ensure those connections can happen? By partnering with Cisco to create one of the most technologically advanced expos the world has ever seen.
Without the expertise and dedication of Cisco and their customer experience organization, so much of the tech and innovation powering Expo 2020 Dubai couldn't have existed. It's a mega project that only a partner like Cisco could have provided.
8,000 Wi-Fi access points, protection with security first, communication with Cisco Vision, and collaborative solutions fit for an office of the future. What is shared in Dubai will amplify around the world, and what begins in 2020 will last for a lifetime. What's a World Expo if it isn't shared with the world?
Amazing. And this is an incredible project, and well done to the team behind this. In October 2020, 25 million people will visit Dubai for the World Expo. And it's an incredible example of how everything has to be faster, it has to be bigger, and it has to be better. And that's exactly what you're telling us. We heard from Wendy in the opening keynote today about how the digital transformations are driving us all forward. And we know that every one of you in this audience today is working for a company that is doing some form of digital transformation. No matter what your sector is or no matter what size that company, you're all transforming. And we also know that digital transformation is difficult because you're transforming technology and business at the same time. And it can no longer be business as usual. As you saw from David and all that amazing technology that we showed today, there is an implicit expectation. As you move to a software and subscription model, that you need to move the entire business process to a lifecycle methodology. And it's really, really important that we get this right. We can no longer just land the technology, and we have to do it together, and we have to do it at scale. And the great news is Cisco and our amazing partners are here to help you as we help you move to that life cycle, and we're also helping you to bridge the new skills gap as we move into this brave new world.
So as Alistair said, it's not business as usual. And what happens is as we talk to all of you, our customers, what you're doing is you're coming to us, to Cisco and our partners, and asking different questions. So before you came and asked for networking and connectivity, but now the questions are different. As your businesses have grown, your networks have grown, and they've started to get more complex. So now our customers are asking, help me automate my infrastructure. Help me automate, automate, automate. And help me use it. Help me use my infrastructure to solve my business problems. So that represents a big technology transformation where we can use the capabilities of the new network to automate, but a shift where we actually use the infrastructure to solve business problems. And the reason that we can do that is because it's an entirely new network with new capabilities. The network from 5, 10, 25 years ago is different from today's network, as you saw from David and the team. This network uses intent-based networking and multi-domain networking. It's programmable. It has APIs, which lets it support DevOps workflows and automation. And application areas like IoT and edge computing and cognitive collaboration all come together. And then capabilities like AI and machine learning and security are built into the network, not just done separately. And so as we put those together, that's how we can use the network to accelerate business, to do automation at scale, to gain insights and intelligence, and then also to drive business outcomes. Now, Alistair always likes to talk about the future and think about the future. So what we're going to do is show you some innovations in collaborative intelligence that will be coming to you.
What does it look like when Cisco accelerates your success with the right data, insights, and expertise at the right time? Introducing Cisco Collaborative Intelligence. A digital experience fueled by pervasive telemetry, powerful guidance for your most strategic use cases, proven lifecycle best practices, contextual learning to embrace innovation, all powered by AI, ML, and Cisco's intellectual capital. With Cisco Customer Experience, you'll find a complete view of assets and intelligent recommendations, integrated case management, and use case-driven guidance every step of the way. Between human experiences and digital experiences, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Thank you. Collaborative intelligence is the future of the customer experience solutions. It's an incredible, incredible platform that we're developing. And I was trying to think of what's the right analogy to explain how we're bringing this to market. And I thought about this new smart meter that I've just got into my kitchen. And before that, I used to get a gas bill or electricity bill, and I used to pay it by direct debit every month, and I never, ever looked at the bill. And about a year ago, I got a smart meter. I got this lovely little device with a user interface, and I can press buttons, and I get a graphical interface of all that interesting information behind it. I didn't actually know that electricity was 50% cheaper in the evening than it was during the day. But now I've got that intelligence because of that user interface. And what we're doing with collaborative intelligence is the future. We're going to provide you with a digital experience, and we're going to take all the amazing telemetry and data out of all the products and solutions in Cisco, and then we're going to map them to the use cases that you use to buy those solutions and your lifecycle journey with those solutions. And then we're going to add experts, and they could be Cisco experts, they could be partner experts, or we'll hopefully make you the experts as well, and bringing them all together that will give you that incredible collaborative intelligence experience. Now, not only is this new, we're also showing this in the world of solutions. So, if you have time this week, please come and join us at the Customer Experience booth. We've got 5 demo pods, and we'll be happy to show you the future of the customer experience solutions. And not only with these great new experience solutions, we've also got a fantastic portfolio that will help to drive the digital transformation. And I'm really pleased today to announce that we're reimagining our flagship services product, the Business Critical Services 3.0. And for the first time ever, this will be brought to market with our partners, and it will be scaled through our partners. Thank you.
And so, as Alistair said, it really is all about our customers and our partners, all of you. And what we've been doing is really working to help you continue to build the teams that you need to grow your business. So as we took a look at your technology teams and your IT teams, what we see with all this new technology is that it's a combination of the world of infrastructure engineers and the world of software developers. And more specifically, that as you're building your teams, what you need is infrastructure skills and expertise and software skills and expertise. So what we announced is an entirely new set of Cisco certifications. So the new Cisco CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE certifications. And we added to that an entirely new set of Cisco DevNet certifications to also certify your software expertise. And so these come together for you on February 24th so that you can train your skills and train your people and certify them to get the certifications that they need. And this prepares you for new job roles that didn't exist before because of the technology. So now that you can do automation and that the technology is programmable, we have new roles like a network automation developer. And you can get that by getting a DevNet professional certification along with a DevNet specialist in enterprise core, in enterprise automation, and DevOps. So when you put these together, you can then figure out the network automation developer. Another new role is the web scale engineer. And this is not just for a web company. It's for any retailer, for anybody who has an infrastructure that works at that scale. And you can train for that web scale engineer with the DevNet professional together with ACI automation, data center automation and programmability, and then DevOps skills. So this is the way that we're modernizing to make sure that you can have the skills that you need to grow your business. And the new DevNet certifications come available February 24th, and what we're going to announce is that the first 500 people to earn those DevNet certifications are going to be recognized as the DevNet 500. So sign up to be those first ones. Who's going to go out and get that? Anybody?
Hey.
And also, what you want to know is, which are the partners that are really skilling up and being able to offer these capabilities, the DevNet capabilities and the CX capabilities? So what we're doing is we're launching our DevNet specialization and our CX specialization for partners so that you can differentiate your business and that our customers can know who's delivering these types of solutions. And you can get started now because we have 61 new courses that you can send your folks to that you can go and learn today. These are all becoming available January and February, so you can start learning today to earn those certifications. And so as we bring this together, what we do is we ask us to work together and join a challenge together, where we together drive business outcomes with the new network.
Embrace the new customer experience solutions to get to value faster.
And then we look forward to working with you, as we did in the last 25 years, to really drive your business success with the Cisco ecosystem for the next 25 years.
So we've always known that you're the heroes of IT. So please join with us, and we'll help you make the heroes of your digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to David.
All right. Now, Alistair, I saw this new collaborative intelligence portal being built. I probably saw the first version about a year ago, and it was amazing. It's amazing how fast it's evolved, and I think more and more, this is going to be the entry point of the entire portfolio. So when I want to tell everybody here, if you're going to see one thing here this week, go see this, because this is really a big change in how we're, the whole customer experience for Cisco.
Definitely. It's amazing. Thank you very much, David.
And Susie, there just might be a little bit of something for DevNet out there, too. There might be
a couple.
somewhere people can go.
There might be a DevNet zone
like probably
out there.
half the place out there is DevNet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Wendy, join me back. Why don't you join me back on stage? All right, look, we just want to close real quick. This is really an exciting week for us. We thank you all for being here. Literally, there's probably hundreds and hundreds of people from my team that are here from around the world to work with all of you and show us the greatest technology that we have and that we've built over the last year. So have a great week. Wendy, thanks for hosting all of us and making all this happen.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, David, to you and the team. We've announced some amazing stuff. There's some fantastic demos, capability. Get yourself to the hub. And also, do you want to be in that DevNet 500? You going to join me?
DevNet 500. That's
fantastic. Right. Enjoy, everyone. Have fun.
All right, take care.